Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. How are we all anyway? Lovely sunny day today, which is nice. After yesterday's craziness. There's Ben.
Right, mate.
What the heck is going on tonight?
I don't know. I'm just sat here going, I'm nearly done my first coffee already. I'll have to go make another one in a minute.
There we go.
Jamie turned on video. That might help.
No,
Oh,
my video's always been on.
no, I can't see. I can just see me and Mark. Anyway, I'm not bothered.
At least we're all here this time.
Exactly.
Fantastic. That's a good start anyway.
Well, it wouldn't let me come in. Like it had paused me, and I could see you two down the bottom talking to each other and hear everything you were saying, but it wouldn't let me unpause myself.
All we could see was this little spinning disc, and you're like,
Spin.
Oh God,
You look like what you looked like at the ball when you was half cut.
got a very gorge now. Do the intro.
Go on and get into it quick, or we lose it all again.
Can everybody hear me?
Hey,
Can you all hear me?
Can't
Hey.
hear
You can't hear me?
Oh dear, that's the oldest one in the
Why
book. Sorry.
why would you ask us that?
Go on. Go on.
I was
Sorry.
rushing around like an absolute mental case as well, trying to get the little bit of space in the greenhouse and everything, because I haven't been here all day. And literally, like, I could have had another 10 minutes faffing around. Eyes are stinging, right?
Right. Go for it.
So today's guest is a former air hostess, a garden educator, a gardening and entrepreneur. It's easy for me to say. A garden presenter, has a caravan in their garden, gardening with the kids, the most glamorous person in horticulture, a cat lover. It's the middle of April, but tonight we have August.
I thought I was the most glamorous person in horticulture myself, but there we are. I stand corrected.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh.
That intro was quite possibly the best intro ever. I think it was, after all the faff, it was worth it.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. Sorry about all that, August. Had to be on your week.
There's always a technical issue somewhere, and I can sow peas and carrots, but when it comes to anything technological, it all goes totally to pot. So I feel you. We are meant for the garden and the soil, not for technology.
Definitely.
We normally have a hiccup somewhere along the line, but we haven't had a big one like that for a while.
But that's why we always leave it for Mark, and he's managed to balls it up.
Yeah. we used to rotate. We had a week each to start the live, but then me and Ben used to muck it up so much. Mark took over.
Yeah, you were relegated.
Yeah.
I think I had 1 week. It was like, no.
Well, it's
How
lovely
are you,
to
August?
see all of you. I'm great, thank you. I've been teaching all day today, so I've been talking gardening since I opened my eyes this morning, which is a usual day for me. But yeah, really good. Nice to see the sun come out. Then hail. What was that about?
I know.
I don't know if you had
I had
hail,
that.
but it was really bizarre.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous. I was talking to someone today and I said, where's the April showers gone? We don't get April showers anymore. We just get April everything.
Hail.
April.
20 degrees, 4 degrees, hail, rain, whatever. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I was outside in the garden at the weekend with a t-shirt on, and then today it was out in the garden was just freezing.
Yeah, the wind, the that wind is just horrible, absolutely horrible. Oh,
See, it's been mild down here. It's been all right.
So
nice.
whereabouts are you?
Bristol.
Bristol.
Yeah, it's been quite mild here today.
Oh,
It's still
lovely.
gorgeous now.
No, it's been cold. It's had a cold wind. I think if the wind went there like normal, that'd been all right. But it's just that cold wind that's horrible.
Yeah, we've had the cold today, but it's been sunny.
No, it was
We're
Gentle
getting
breeze.
there. Slowly but surely, we're getting to the best time of year.
isn't it?
But who's excited for planting out? I
Oh.
cannot wait to get everything off my windowsills, out into the garden. Out. Oh my goodness, look at that! That is a greenhouse of wonder.
So done with it in here.
Oh, it's ridiculous. There's nowhere to move in any greenhouses there. It's just everywhere's rammed.
This is the small greenhouse as well. And literally, I'm just sat in a spot that I can get in.
Oh my god, you've got more than one greenhouse, is that what you're trying to tell me? Now
Yeah.
that's just greedy, isn't it? Not that I can talk, but
Yeah, just the two at the minute, but I got a third to build. Still got one more to go,
wonderful.
Proper greedy.
hopefully.
So, as Mark said, August, you were an air hostess.
I was, yes, for 20 years. So I work for Virgin Atlantic.
Virgin.
6 years ago, I literally had no idea about plants. I literally was that person that said, every plant I touch dies. I had no interest in gardening. And I literally think I would have laughed you down the aisle straight out the emergency exits if you told me that I would get so excited about sowing peas and carrots. I just wouldn't believe you. So the way I feel about growing vegetables now is something that I would never have considered 6 years ago. So it's been quite a bizarre roller coaster to kind of get here today. But the most incredible, I think it is when you find your passion in life, when you find a love for something. And gardening was that thing for me that just totally changed my life, changed my world, changed the way I look at things, view things, and for the family as well.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I just got to ask this. So when you're showing people around the garden, do you go, the beetroot are down there, the radish?
I mean, even today, I was serving tea and coffee, and I couldn't even remember one tea and one coffee. And I was like, oh my goodness, can you believe I did this for a profession for 20 years? And I can't even remember how to pour a cup of tea anymore. I'm totally lost it. But yeah, I do have a lot of hand movements, which you'll probably tell today.
Sorry, I had to get that in. Oh dear. Sorry. So, Le Manoir. Oof. I want to go, but I just
Has any of you been? Has anybody visited? No. Oh, it is quite special, very, very magical. And I went there for the first time for lunch and basically never left because I just totally fell in love with the gardens. I thought that it was the most beautiful. There was beans dripping all over the pathway, pumpkins tumbling everywhere. You know, it's just an edible wonderland. And when you walk in, it is just bursting with life, bursting with food. And basically, I got a bit drunk on champagne and went to ask for a job. And obviously, they don't give drunk people jobs. So it was a firm no to start off with. And then I went away on a trip, as I did, all over the world. I remember being in San Fran, waking up with jet lag. And I lived out of a suitcase and I could never remember where I was because I was staying, 5 different countries a month, just constant non-stop travel. And I woke up and I thought, well, do you know what? I'm just going to Google gardening jobs for fun. And the first job that came up was a kitchen gardener at Le Manoir. Really weird. When you think, is my phone listening to me? It has Alexa tapped into my mind. Like, it's just so weird. And I believe in signs, and I thought, well, if that is not a sign, I don't know what is. So I applied for the job, and I didn't have any horticultural experience other than growing my own food at the time. And basically, somehow, I slipped under the doormat and seemed to still be there, and I never left. I won't let them leave me. I'm there forever, like a barnacle stuck in the garden.
Excellent.
I don't blame you. What I've seen of it is just, like I say, just a wonderland. It must be absolutely amazing.
I think as well, when you start that connection of, I mean, I loved cooking and I cook a lot outside in the garden, but I wouldn't say I'm a very good chef. I try my best, but when you really speak to the team, so our head veg gardener, John, who's incredible, he's been there for about 15 years, and he was trained as a chef. So the beauty of having a head gardener that's got that culinary expertise, then pair that with flavour, different varieties, and then obviously, I mean, we can't leave the main man out himself. Raymond obviously is the biggest kind of inspiration guide. I think we all really sort of, he's just so he's an inspirational human. So and obviously he started Le Manoir 40 years ago, and his knowledge, he was brought up with gardening. His dad was a fantastic gardener. His mum was an incredible chef. So put them together, they then created Raymond Blanc, who obviously everything he does is to perfection. He wants to taste the vegetables. So we do taste trials, and we may have 40 different types of French bean, and then they go into the kitchen and the chefs and the gardeners will all try them, taste them, and come up with the best varieties. So I think it's using the whole team, not just the gardeners, but having that chefing background, knowledge, and, you know, the urge to always learn and to always push forward, find new varieties, find new flavors, think of ways to cook. And so I think it's such an incredible place to be.
Yeah, so much respect for Raymond Blanc. He's just absolutely amazing. Before I was even class myself as close to a gardener, I used to watch him, you know, the cooking all the time. It's just mind blowing. But now I know what you said. He's out in the garden, bringing in, and vice versa, and everything.
Oh,
fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, not just that. I think that from a guest perspective as well, when you come to Le Manoir, he is, you know, if we have a meeting in the main lounge, he will speak to every single guest because it's like his home. So before we even get started, he'll go and sit with every guest. A couple of weeks ago, we had a Raymond Blanc gardening school. Obviously, that's what I teach on a daily basis. And he knew that we were teaching that day. So he came and had lunch with the guests. And he was there for about 45 minutes, just telling the story, everybody was asking him questions. He's like a real part of everything. He doesn't like missing out, like all of us at Le Manoir. We want to be kind of a part and a bit of everything. And obviously from a guest perspective, if Raymond Blanc turns up for lunch, then it's like the biggest cherry on the top of the cake.
You got all these amazing things, and then he walks in and I think that's like, it. Ta-da, perfect.
That's the thing with chefs like that. It's not just the name on the door. They are the brand as well. And that's massive.
Absolutely. You know, he is, when we talk about, so I plan our heritage garden. This year we're celebrating 40 years of Le Manoir, so we're celebrating Raymond's favourite varieties. So even with the main veg garden, we have to go and put our case forward. This is the varieties that we want to grow. We know his general favourites, what he really loves, what he wants to see in the garden. And then he may change different seeds within the list, because some he would have, like from a flavour perspective, he may say, well, this cabbage tastes much better. I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh, French beans last week. I'd chosen 3 beautiful varieties of French beans. He was like, these taste like flowery, like flour. They're no good. I was like, oh, okay, we won't be saying that then. I think they look gorgeous. They're all stripy and beautiful colours. And he's like, but they taste disgusting. I was like, all right, off they pop. I'll grow them at home. So that the core of everything at Le Manoir and for Raymond and for the whole team is, at the end of the day, whatever we sow in the garden, it then sort of tinkers through the kitchens. We've got our fantastic new executive head. Well, he's not new, actually. He's been there for a year now. Luke Selby and his brothers have taken on the kitchen, and seeing what they create and come out the other end like a piece of artwork on the plate. It's like an edible... You want to put it in a frame, really. But obviously you've got to eat it, so.
Definitely. You can't not, can you?
Bit.
If you go in there, you've got to eat it. Lots of pictures, lots of photos.
Oh, many photo opportunities. I'm not one for taking pictures of food, but every now and then, especially when I'm at work, well, maybe not necessarily in the staff canteen, I don't take a picture of my plate.
So the staff canteen's not a 2 Michelin star
Well, it's
canteen
to
then?
help yourself, and I don't place it with my tweezers. It gets a big ladle, and I save the tweezers for the main kitchen.
I'll show you how this could look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bang.
Oh, yeah. So you, like you just said, you are now head of the gardening school. But
Yes.
that wasn't your first job, obviously.
No, so I started very much, so after going to lunch there and then miraculously getting the job, I didn't have any experience, but what I did had, I just started my Instagram just to share and showcase to people what I did, and I think once you go into this wonderful world of Instagram, you get so many sort of inspirational people that you can follow, and it gives you tips and that, because also very much at the beginning I thought, oh, I don't really know if I like Instagram because it's all about selfies and things like that, but when you have a selfie with a cabbage, now that's my kind of selfie. So I think
You know you've made it in life.
Oh, you do. When you get passionate about posting a pumpkin or your latest little harvest. But that kind of was my showcase then, I suppose, my CV of what I'd grown at home. And I took in a basket of vegetables. Kind of, I mean, I thought they were really gorgeous because I'd not really been growing. I'd been growing for about a year at that stage. But they were all like the wonky veg section. You know, you go in and the misfit that nobody wants. But I thought they were beautiful, and I'd put this big basket, and I sort of walked down the lavender path with my big basket of wonky vegetables, and I was like, here's what I can do. And I'm sure the head gardener was probably like, oh no, we've got but somehow I slipped through the net. So I did 3 years in the kitchen garden. First year I was flying part-time and gardening as well, and then I don't know if anybody's ever changed career, but because I'd been flying since I was 19, so it was really the only job that I'd known, other than I did check-in before that, and I really dreaded going away, but for some reason I just didn't think about leaving, so I was doing both, killing myself. I'd also had the kids at that time, so I was flying at weekends, working in the garden, looking after the kids. And then I remember phoning my dad saying, I just don't want to go to San Fran tomorrow. And I was going with my best friends. And, you know, if you want to go to San Fran, if you don't want to go to San Fran with your friends, you know that your time's kind of up. And I remember digging, and he just said to me, well, why are you going? I was like, what? He said, why are you going tomorrow? And I was just like, oh, what do you mean? He said, just leave. I was like, oh, what a good idea. It was kind of like I needed somebody to say, it's okay, you can leave. Because it was just so ingrained in me that was my job, and that was I suppose it was my identity as well. You become cabin crew, and it's very much you. So I literally handed in my notice, and never went back. And I've never been back since, and I've never even looked back, which I find, because I was very worried, thinking, you know, flying all over the world, having all these incredible experiences. I thought it could have been the biggest mistake of my life, and it turns out to be that it was the most incredible thing that I ever did. So then that gave me time to then start studying my RHS, which I loved. I got to go into college and talk about gardening all day with like 30 people. It was incredible, because I mean, I don't know about you, I don't know if your family and friends is interested in gardening. No. But when you find people that want to talk about gardening, I've found my people. I just love everybody that wants to talk about carrots, peas, flowers, and everything. So college was like heaven to me. And then got my qualifications, and then so then 3 years ago I went for the interview to take over the garden school, but just before that, actually, I knew that I wanted to do the garden school, and I knew that I had to get my qualifications, and I knew that I probably needed a little bit of experience in teaching to be able to teach the Raymond Garden School. So on my days off, I also went to a school in Hayes, and I set up a kitchen garden at a school in Hayes where people, a lot of the children lived in flats, so they didn't have any gardens. So I created a space where they could kind of grow, and none of them ate vegetables when I first started. They all just hated it. By the end of the 2 years, they were picking broccoli and eating it off the plant, taking edible flowers into their teachers, and you know, it was just brilliant. And obviously then I got that basis for teaching, planning and everything, and so then when I went for my interview, I don't know how, but I got the job for that. But at the beginning, when I took on the garden school, we only did 18 days a year. So the Raymond Gardening School was 18 days. We had one veg course, and there was an edible flowers and micros course. Over the last 3 years, I've grown it, and with my colleague Sam, who is fantastic. So Sam came on board. So it's only myself and Sam, who's just incredible. He teaches the soil to plate courses, and we've grown it to over 100 days a year now, with guest speakers, incredible guest speaker. I've got so many exciting people that I've got coming in. Honestly, like it's you meet all these people. I mean, when we do the garden press event, you do Chelsea, you walk around and it's like, oh my goodness, there's so and so, and you meet everybody in real life. From Instagram. Is just like, it's incredible, isn't it? And you've got this common bond and everything, and then my brain starts working overtime thinking, oh, and I can get you and you can come and do a garden school because I want to listen to you all day long. So yeah, it's been a really fantastic point up until this point, and hopefully with the way that it's going, it's only going to keep going up. So I say that hopefully. I don't know when I'm going to have a life, but
It's not going to happen, is it?
No.
This is it.
Gardening is life. Life is gardening. We are.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Bloody hell. So your garden at home, we've obviously seen lots.
Yes.
The main bit I've seen is your amazing fire pit with your tripod and your caravan.
Caravan in
Fantastic. Caravan in the garden. It looks really, really nice. And you use your fire pit so much, you cook on it all the time.
I try to, because to me it's more natural. It's, you know, you can all stand inside and I can cook in the oven. And I watched this Netflix documentary, and I am very much one for when somebody says you can't do that, I'm like, oh no, you didn't. Yes, I can. So I watched this Netflix documentary on a gentleman who cooked in the ground and buried the food in the ground, and I was like, I'm doing this. So basically I dug a hole in the garden and filled it with rocks, and now it's become the fire pit. But it was all kind of based around the caravan. I was looking for a playhouse for the children, and started looking into playhouses. And I don't know if you've ever looked into how much a playhouse can cost, but they're like well over £1,000 for a mini shed. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Why would I spend that much money? And then I was talking to my dad, and I'd seen a couple of caravans, and he said, why don't you just do the caravan? And I was like, what a great idea. So I think I bought it on eBay for £600, ripped it all to shreds, repainted it using this fantastic paint, which is like hard as nail, it's brilliant, and the outside. And then my mum's an artist, so she's painted Peter Pan all across the ceiling. We've got sort of sky in there as well. And then my mother-in-law, she makes curtains, so she's made all beautiful curtains for it. And really, I think as well, because I'm obsessed with being in the garden, I try and sleep in there. So last week we slept in there for a week solid, because I rather be, you know, I can open all the windows and I feel like I'm actually in the garden. And we've got like a little secret garden where we go through the hedge, through a little doorway that my dad made, and the children sort of go in through the secret door into our flower garden, so you can't see it from any other part of the garden. So it's creating magical memories for me, for the children. It's moments, especially over lockdown and things like that, that we could really utilize every single part of the garden, but make it a memory. It's not just a garden. It's we have the hammocks, and I make it as fairy tale as possible. So and I think because at work our color palette at Le Manoir is creams, pale lemons, lavender. It's all very calm, and then you come to my garden and it's like I've gone crazy and there's just color everywhere, so I'm letting myself go in my own garden.
Oh, it's lovely. I love watching it. And you have, is her name Michelle that comes and does lots of cooking with you on
Yes.
Yeah.
So my lovely friend Michelle, she's fantastic. So she's I always call it a nutritionalist, but I don't think it's that. It's a nutritionist. So
Nutritionist.
always a nutritionalist. That's not right. But she's fantastic because I'm very much one for getting the pot, chucking it all in. I don't use a recipe. It all just wallops in, and then if it comes out okay, it comes out okay. Now, since she's arrived, oh my goodness, it's like everything tastes great. She puts like the planning into it, and then we kind of go into the values of the food, and it's because that's not necessarily my passion, is finding the recipes. I love the growing, but the actual cooking side, I like cooking in the garden, but she's just amazing at putting it all together, and it tastes amazing as well. But it's quite incredible, really, because it's such a sort of skill from the dark ages. It's so natural. But when I first started cooking over just fire, it really boggled my brain. I was just like, oh, how do you do this? Because we're so used to just going whoop, and putting your oven on. So it's kind of really getting that temperature control and kind of those things that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Like pizza oven.
Sorry, Mark.
Like cooking in a pizza oven.
Yeah. I haven't got one, but I can imagine. Is it similar?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to adjust to the right temperature and try and hold it there, because otherwise, if it fluctuates, you end up with a burnt bottom.
Yeah, nobody likes a burnt bottom.
No. Have you done any cooking on fire, Ben, in your chefing career?
Yeah, loads of it. Loads of it. Just I did a lot of it like more of it out of catering, to be honest. So I did a lot of it at home and fire pits and stuff. It was amazing. Like my dad, he built a spit to go over the top of a hole in the ground. Had a whole pig on it for a weekend.
Oh my goodness!
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was very spoilt growing up because we were brought up on a farm, so we had all that sort of stuff. And my mum was a chef, my gran was a proper farm cook, and my brothers and uncles were butchers.
So you've literally been living the childhood dream.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then, like, it was just amazing. My granddad was a chef in the RAF as well years ago, so we've still got like his cookbook, and the recipes are like per 125 men. It's just like, and they're just like pounds and pounds of meat going in, and yeah, it's incredible.
Wow.
Such a cool book.
It's not ounces, it's pounds.
Yeah. Like, it's literally just like, and all the cuts of meat are all drawn by hand.
Wow.
It's just insane book. You couldn't buy it. It's just amazing.
My goodness, that is so beautiful, isn't it? So do you think that's what got you into cooking, because you've got the history through the family? And
a lot of it was, my dad was also a mechanic, and I hated everything to do with cars. I hated all that. And on the farm, I used to run away from the work, and I used to go and hide in the kitchen with my gran. And I used to help my gran. And I'll be like, Gran, can I come and help you? Because they're doing all the heavy lifting and stuff. Yeah, now I'm so fed up with cooking after doing it for 20 years. I hate going in the kitchen. It's just like, I'd rather be outside.
Yeah, so you don't do chefing at all anymore?
No, I jacked it all in, the year before lockdown.
But it is a very intense environment to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, I did a lot of pub and hotel work, so it wasn't like the high end. It was a lot of just pumping meals out for the hell of it, which used to drive me insane. And you were doing 18 hours a day, and when I was single, it was great.
Yeah.
But as soon as I had kids, There's just no, you didn't see them. You're doing breakfast shifts, then taking them to school, go and do a lunch shift, pick them up from school, then do the afternoon and evening, and you miss putting them to bed. And it was just one of those. It was like you get in the nice places where you've got the decent hours and everything else, perfect. And the teams and bosses that actually appreciate that you need a life outside of the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, I think at Le Manoir, our average age is about 18 to 23 or 25.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very high pace. I mean, I did one day, we do cross training at work where you go into the kitchens and see, because then you get this beautiful appreciation for, you know,
definitely.
we're outside hoeing, nice and relaxed, you know, we're not running around anywhere. And every now and then you see the chefs just zipping through the garden. And then you go in and do one day in the kitchen and you understand why they're running through the garden, because the service is so, everything is to perfection. I mean, I did until about 4 o'clock and I felt like I'd been run over by a bus, a very big bus. But now it also goes and shows how when we harvest out in the garden, because we don't harvest like a farm, we harvest to that level of attention to detail. So, you know, that Gardens Plate experience comes very much from that moment of picking. So a leaf has to be the certain size that fits the plate beautifully well with no holes. Otherwise, it's giving the chefs then another 2 hours work on their day to be sieving through the imperfect leaves. So it kind of, I think it does help to have that sort of insight into the wonderful world of kitchens.
Definitely.
I feel like anybody that is a chef in the world, it is my hat. Not that I'm wearing one, but if I was, it would be taken off in a big bow, because it's incredible. And the knowledge you have to have, that again, I think it's similar to gardeners. You know, you go out there and you look at the wages that gardeners get, or, you know, an initial chef, and the amount of knowledge that you have to have learned to get to a stage is incredible.
I mean, I was really, really lucky because obviously my whole family were cooks and in the industry. I was doing it from the age of 14 in pubs and restaurants. So I went to college at 16 and I left after 6 weeks. I was in Bournemouth and college, and I was just like, no, I'm fed up of making soups and cutting veg. Like, these idiots can carry on if you want. I'm out. So I then did an apprenticeship as a second chef in a 3-star hotel in Bournemouth. I left, and the guy that was chefing with me, when he came out, he became my second chef because he had the qualifications but no knowledge.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? It's such a practical skill, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
That you need to be practicing and constantly going with it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, his cakes and things, all the precision stuff was amazing, but anything fast paced or you needed to do in a hurry, useless. It was crazy. It's like, come on, where's that? Where's my salad? I'm just dressing it. Mate, that should have been long gone by now. But it's mental. It is absolutely mental. And to do it in the style that they do, where Le Manoir, is just incredible. It's way above what I've ever done.
Oh, there it is. You know, I go out into the kitchen sometimes and I walk through. I mean, I remember the first time I ever went into the kitchen, and I was like, oh, this is really scary, because everybody's so fast paced. And, you know, I think as well, because with being British, it's all very much, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, I'm walking through the kitchen going, sorry everybody, sorry this, and I sort of tiptoe through, whereas it's not like that. In the kitchen, it's just one hand, you know, and people just move out the way, or your backs. I still can't quite get that, because they always say, backs please, so you move out the way, but I just feel so rude, so I'm like, morning everyone, do you mind just moving out the way for me? So I just feel like, but they're so used to it, it wouldn't offend anybody, but I still feel like I have to be polite.
We used to have blazing rows in the kitchen and then finish and go out and have a pint. And everyone's like, but you were shouting to bits at each other in the kitchen. It's like, that was work.
Yeah,
I'm
not surprised though, because the pressure of getting everything to that stage, I mean, it is literally like working in a pressure cooker, isn't it?
It's timings. And I used to prefer working on my own because I knew everywhere I was. I knew exactly where I was. Everything came together at the same time. Service was a bit slower, but I used to find that it was easier working on my own. I mean, I worked in a really good restaurant when it first started doing all the proper gastro stuff, and I did 91 covers on my own that night because all the other staff didn't turn up. and it was all cooked to order. It was amazing, and the buzz I got at the end, and I was literally like, and they're like, "How did you do that?" I was like, "I don't know." It's like,
The adrenaline must be insane when you finish the service and you're like, I nailed that.
it's the one thing I miss, but I do get it when I've potted loads of stuff on as well. It's the only thing I can, like, you know, when you're like, I did that. I knew I'd get through all of them today. And it's the only thing I can compare it to, is knowing that when you've done that real tedious job of potting everything up in one hit, and you walk away going, yes. But
See, that's my idea of heaven now, because I do so much teaching. Getting into the garden isn't as frequent as I would like to be out in the garden. So something like that, potting up, potting on, pricking out. Oh, I would give anything to just spend one day with my laptop thrown across the garden into the compost heap and just be at one with the garden. I'm getting there. I am getting there.
it's the best way to teach.
Definitely, yeah. Just get stuck in and do it. That's the best way.
Yeah, I used to struggle when I was helping out in Bournemouth University and assisting the lecturers there. I did it for a whole summer, and I was just like, this is so tedious. Like, you're trying, this is how you cut this, and you're not allowed to do it for them or show them. They have to tell them, and it's like, how can I tell someone how to do that? It's such a hard thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, terrible.
So,
go on, Mark. Sorry.
what happens to all the wonky veg and leaves with holes then?
I think exactly what I was just about to ask. Exactly
There isn't any. There isn't any.
Of course there is.
Yeah, we only grow perfect leaves, no holes, and slugs don't exist in our world. Yes, they do. We have all the pests that everybody else has, but we are really lucky because it either will go into stocks and things like that, or it goes down to the staff canteen. So some of our meals, so a lot of our salads and things like that will be all coming from the garden. If we have a big surplus, then we've got the church next door, and we also staff can take it home. So we put it all out in the staff canteen. Bearing in mind we have 200, I think it's just below 250 staff now. So nothing is ever wasted. I know, you wouldn't think it. You'd think they're all hiding under the cupboard under the stairs or something, because you never know or see anybody. But with all the changeovers, you know, even the chefs, so we have 40 chefs working at any one time in the kitchen. We have, but actually, surprisingly, for 27.5 acres, we only have 12 gardeners. So it's actually not a huge team. And I would say that I'm half gardener, half talkaholic. So I spend most of my time talking about gardening, not actually practicing it, because I'm teaching most of the time, or you know, talking about gardening. So yeah, so it's there's never a moment that goes that we don't use things, which is really lovely, because I think as a gardener it can be quite heartbreaking, can't it?
Yeah. So is there like a lot of succession sowing and things then to keep you going throughout the whole season, and then obviously do you sow all the winter veg and things as well and keep it all going through the winter too?
So it's very difficult because we do have a 4-year crop rotation. So we do have to clear the beds. So I wouldn't say that our main veg garden is fully abundant throughout the winter months. Our polytunnels, however, will be full. We do have our brassicas that will see us through till the bit sort of the springtime, but we do successionally sow. So things like lettuce, we sow lettuce every 2 weeks, so we've always got a constant supply. We will raise things in plugs, so once we've cleared the beds, we're then ready to plant. I would say in the heritage garden, which is the garden that I look after, which is very much connected with the Raymond Garden School, and I work closely with the Heritage Seed Library. Do you know of the Heritage Seed Library? Garden Organic. Oh, I just love history. They're just gorgeous. I'm obsessed. But we're also working really closely with She Grows Veg this year. So those are the two seed supplies that we're using this year. But it's all about, in the heritage garden, creating that history, and you know, sowing seeds that have got a beautiful story. But I also try to do 3 crops per bed. So at the moment, for example, we've got the garlic in place currently in one of the big wavy beds. The garlic will stay in, and then we're putting in red lettuce and green lettuce in
Saw this.
the waves. So it has this beautiful wave, and we're maximising the space in between the garlic. Once they go in June, we're going to then be sowing 2 varieties of dwarf French beans from the Heritage Seed Library, 3 varieties of climbing beans. We're doing this beautiful pea. Now this gives me goosebumps because it's a beautiful pea. So it's called Black Down Blue. The reason that we chose it was because it's originates in France, and it was given to a soldier marching back from the Somme, the Battle of the Somme, and while he was marching through France, a gardener gave him these seeds and said, sow these seeds when you get home for a sign of a better future. And he sowed those in his allotment for years and years and years, and then they went back to the Heritage Seed Library, and now we've got some of those seeds. So it's things like that that I'm really passionate about growing in the Heritage garden at Le Manoir. But then they'll go, and then we'll be planting beans in there. So it's all about trying to keep the space going throughout the whole year. Hopefully.
Nice.
The 4-year crop rotation, August, that's because of being organic and the Soil Association, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are certified by the Soil Association, which is fantastic. It's something that Raymond is super passionate about, especially because we're such an educational garden. So every single day we have a garden tour. The garden tour can be up to 30 guests at any one time. We have events like Garden as well. So we're looking at thousands of guests that come through the garden. So we really want to teach organic practices. But to be certified organic, we do have to stick by the 4-year crop rotation. Do I do that in my own garden? Absolutely not. No, I'm really not into it in any way, shape or form. Actually, it gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
And I like mixing everything up. If I saw a sign of pest or disease, would I then do crop rotation? Yes, absolutely. There are a certain few things that I do rotate, like my brassicas, my potatoes, and my alliums. I do move them around because I do have allium leaf miner, and I always worry about potatoes as well. And your brassicas, I think it's just best practice too. But do I strictly? No, not at all. I think in a small space garden, like Charles Dowding, for example.
I was just about to say, Charles, because you're no dig at the Manoir, aren't you, in the kitchen garden? Yeah.
Yes, so that was a massive thing so we went no dig about 5 years ago. Anna Greenland used to be the head veg gardener, and we kind of started going no dig, but it never really worked because we had COVID. We couldn't get the availability of compost, and it just became really difficult. And then 3rd of November 2 years ago, I was really passionate. So I'd been working together with Charles. I absolutely love Charles. He's just so inspiring. And he was actually my first ever course that I ever did was at Charles's. And I'd just been to the interview at Le Manoir. And then he came back to Le Manoir last year to do a little video. And he was like, what inspired you to get into gardening? I was like, oh, proper fangirl. I was like, it was like, oh, this is like my dream. Who'd have thought 5 years ago I'd be standing here with Charles Dowding?
It was you.
Oh, I know, it was magic. But yeah, so then with Charles, I really pushed for the garden to go no dig, and on 3rd of November, year before last, we went no dig, which is just, to me, fantastic. I'm thinking as well, when it comes to educational purposes, we're teaching guests about the practices of no dig, how it's so much more beneficial, saving carbon emissions, protecting soil life, all those nematodes, bacteria, all that wonderful magic going on beneath the surface, and what we can do to save that, and then in turn get more healthy, nutritious, flavorful, beautiful vegetables. I think it's a win-win, isn't it?
Most definitely.
Sure,
I'm working towards it.
I mean, it's not easy, is it? There is that element of getting the availability of compost, I would say, is the biggest struggle. And I got the allotment this year, and I did everything that I teach not to do, basically. I got a massive delivery of manure that was supposed to be well rotted. Was it well rotted? No, it wasn't. But by the time that it arrived, I had 4 tons on my allotment already, and it was too late by that stage. So it's also got weed seeds everywhere in it. I mean, I said it today actually. Oh, if you're going to get your manure, do a test, put a broad bean in it, grow it, see how it grows. If it's got any kind of discoloration, don't use it. Did I do that? No. Basically, my whole allotment's got really yellow vegetables with weeds everywhere.
No.
But it's just that. But if I wanted to go no dig on the allotment and without compost that I'd already made myself, it would have probably cost me about £400 or £500. So whereas the manure cost me £60. So it was kind of a risk I was willing to take at that point. So I suppose that's I would say the only difficulty is getting that availability of compost.
Yeah. So I've just taken on a new plot. I say just taken on nearly a year now. But I've just started to convert everything onto it, and I've been making compost massively for about 6 months. So just trying to get as much as I can, and I've nearly filled 2 pallet bays now, and I'm about to move on to my 3rd. And it's just like I was literally asked today, can I go and cut someone's garden? And I'm like, yes, you can, because I don't have a lawn, so I will take all those grass clippings with me. Thank you very much.
Oh, amazing. I saw that just a minute ago. Did you post that today? Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, you're a man after my own heart. The excitement of grass clippings. Get in.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, and I kept cutting and cutting. I was like, how low do you want me to go? Do I keep going lower? Yes, I'll keep going lower. I was like, you're just going to have moss left at the end. Wicked.
So are you like Charles Dowling? Can you turn your compost around in like 6 months?
I'm waiting to find out, because I was talking to Charles quite a bit about it. So I was like, yeah, I can do this, and he's told me what to do, sort of thing. But I'm waiting. I think, how long have I covered the first bay up? 2 months maybe. So I'll find out soon enough. But
you'll have to keep us all posted. Hopefully you'll do a big video of the unveiling of the compost.
Definitely. Well, I'm hoping some of it's going to be good enough. Honestly, I'm hoping some of it's good enough, because I need to take it for my Gardeners World garden, because I need to put it in the compost bin on there, because I've said I'm going to use my own compost.
Are you doing a garden at Gardeners World?
Yeah, so I'm hoping it'll be ready.
Ooh. Oh, so what's the theme?
Plot amongst the chickens.
Oh,
so
I love that.
So I'm taking real chickens.
Oh, I need to come and visit. What date is it?
13th to 16th of June.
And that's up in Birmingham.
Mm.
Oh, I'm definite. I was thinking I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it, but now you said chickens, I am there. I'm going to be there representing with you.
It's going to be wicked. I've had a really productive day where a few of my sponsors have all come together and things have been amazing, and I've ticked nearly everything off my list. And today I've just gone, I can relax and enjoy my life again. And all of a sudden, after this lot, I don't need it anymore. It can go in the allotment now. I'm like, yes, I don't have to worry anymore.
How magic. That's a lot of pressure, though, to put a garden together as well. So have you found it quite easy, or are you there's been lots of nightmares?
If I'd known what this was going to be like, I'd have never have done it.
Oh, no.
I've literally cried. There's been a 41-year-old man crying at times, and I've just been like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Because Mark's on my build team as well. So it's like, Mark knows the stress I've been going through.
Oh my goodness. But once you're there, that, like, again, that adrenaline rush that you will get will be absolutely through the roof, and then you'll probably just cry at the end of it as well.
Oh, I'm definitely going to cry. 100%. It's going to be the most ugly cry you've ever seen me do as well. It's going to be
I'm
awful.
Definitely checking in for that day.
Yeah, I know my wife will be there videoing again. Bastard. That's all the stress you put me through for the last 6 months.
Oh, incredible though. What a great thing to do.
Yeah, it's lucky because I'm working with a local nursery as well, and they featured on Gardeners World, and I was chatting to the guy yesterday about it. And during lockdown they provided loads of veg because they had so many plugs ready to go, and obviously they had to shut. they gave it all to this like food charity thing for local people and things, and they've kept
that's
doing
so
it.
lovely.
It's amazing. I learned so much yesterday, and I didn't even realise they'd featured on Gardener's World either with it, which was really cool.
I think this is the beauty, isn't it, of the gardening community is, you know, in other industries, in other worlds, everybody's so cutthroat, nobody shares, people are against each other, and it's all so corporate and crazy. Whereas I feel like in this wonderful gardening community, everybody just wants to share, be there to help each other, to support each other, to network. It's just such a nice industry to be in, isn't it?
Yeah. Everybody's lovely. We always say that all gardeners are lovely. I've never met a nasty one.
No, I haven't. I don't think I have. No. It's incredible, isn't it? But I think that you're a different type of person, isn't you? Because you, like, I would say for me, it's changed my life in the sense that what I believe in, what I think about. You know, pre-gardening, I didn't even recycle because I had no idea. I had no concept, and I actually had no care because I didn't understand what my impact was. Yeah. And that's kind of, again, through gardening, that's changed my views. I'm now doing a degree in environmental studies because I feel like I've wasted most of my life sort of walking around with my eyes closed, not understanding what I've been doing. So I feel very uneducated in that sense, hence why I then started doing the degree to sort of really give the basis of just environmental impact in general. I think it's just a really different world to be connected to, and you other things, you know, like materialistic things. I would go to a shop now, which I don't go shopping for clothes. I literally went to the garden centre yesterday and there was a sale. I mean, I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. Like, I've got some begonias, I got some stuff that I've never grown before. And that, to me, that was pure happiness. But that's not going to give me happiness for 1 second, like a dress you might buy, and that gives you happiness for, you know, one wear. This gives you happiness for years to come. And each year it grows. And then you see that growth and you're like, oh, I remember that day that I went to the garden centre in the sale. It was so worth it.
And even if you don't remember it, you go through your phone when you're deleting all your content and go, oh, I remember that now.
I don't know about you, but does anybody else go into the garden for just hours and stare at everything?
Just love it.
Like I do some days around. I intend to do all these different jobs, but I find myself staring at my vegetable garden, doing nothing. But
it just eats your time up, doesn't it? Just eats your time up.
Just like, wow. Easily. And then I talk to them all. I'm like, oh, morning.
It's amazing though. I come out in the morning. I get up before my wife every morning, and I'll come down and I'll stand in the greenhouse, have a coffee, door open, having a look out, and I'll look out and she'll be stood in the bedroom window looking out and doing exactly the same, but from the window.
It's magic, isn't it? It doesn't grow overnight. It's just like, oh, I've got to tell you my most exciting thing that's happened to me this week. This is the beauty of having an allotment. I've never had an allotment before, so this is very new to me. Yeah. And also just the community of an allotment I found incredible, because I'm used to being in my garden or at work. But I got to the allotment today and there was nothing, there was no sign of anything 2 weeks ago. And through my wood chip pile, I had a whole bed of asparagus.
I saw that. Oh my God.
It was literally like Christmas morning.
Oh my.
I have tried to grow asparagus for the last 5 years, but I get like 2 measly stems a year. And then I got to the allotment and there was just like, it was like this, twinkling at me, just asparagus everywhere. And
so jealous.
That's amazing, amazing. Have you eaten it?
Yes, I had it for dinner this evening. Brilliant. But I was savouring it because I was just like, oh, I want it to last forever.
While we're talking about your allotment, I just want to mention your mum. I love your mum. She's just the best.
Elaborate for me, please, Jamie, because that sounded so bad.
No. not in the tone that not that kind of love.
I
She's
bear,
just the
bear in mind, I
best
can't
person
see
in the
you
world.
tonight. I can only hear you, so it's like an audio book when you're talking. I'm having to guess the expression.
She is
And my
amazing. You need
mum's
to.
just like, uh, she basically, when I garden, she was just sit there and she's just like, I just don't understand it. Why do you want to do that? I just don't understand why anybody would want to get out in the garden and garden. So I started the allotment, and it's right near to her house. And I thought it'd be really good to try and get her involved. And she just has tantrums every time I go. So I started filming.
Brilliant.
It's just real.
Oh,
So I walk into the kitchen and I'm like, you're going to come to the allotment today? No. Why would I want to do that? And then she turns up with like, because she's very artistic. So she's all of her stuff is French and all ornate, painted and crazy. And she'll turn up with like an ornate table, but nothing works. So it all falls into pieces. Teacups with a bottle of Prosecco. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then she starts setting up, like nobody wants their allotment compacted, do they? So normal people don't walk. Well, she's there just prancing across everybody's allotment like she owns the place. I'm like, get off everybody's allotment. You're treading on their asparagus. You're treading on their potatoes. And then she sort of sets up shop in a ball gown in the middle of the allotment. And then every now and then I get all of her hand-me-downs, like all the stuff she doesn't want in her house. So these 3 garden gnomes arrived. Then a giant statue of a naked Cupid, which is so not allotment. It looks like, I don't know, like Marie Antoinette's turned up at my allotment. It is just so out. Everybody else is like proper gardeners. And then there's mine that's slowly turning into a cross between Versailles and Disneyland.
one of the things that made me laugh she made me laugh so much when did she have cardboard in a trolley and she was dragging the trolley across and then she just all of a sudden pulled up in some random man's car.
Basically the garden centre's next door, and she was like stood at the side of the road like a damsel in distress and managed to get some random man to put all the cardboard, and like she came back to the allotment because I'd heard her. She said, I'm going to do this call. It's like a wolf whistle call. So she was going like this. And I was thinking, oh, God, it sounds like a cat's being strangled. She's on her way back. Like, I can hear her. And then suddenly this random person, I was like, who is this man with a load of cardboard? She was like, I don't know. I just found him on the road. But yeah, it is a lot of fun. It is funny. And then I get frozen sandwiches because she doesn't cook or anything like that. So she gets the rolls out of the freezer still frozen and brings me sandwiches in frozen bread. So that's literally all I get. Because you can imagine my childhood, can't you? Boiling a bag of codfish is how I
but when she sets up her little table with the bone china and Prosecco and then the table collapses or the wind gets under it and just spreads the whole lot across the plot.
and
just laugh so
it's
much.
a good idea. Like, don't bring your best china to an allotment. I mean, it's not really rocket science, is it? But we're looking at, this is my top secret, getting a pub shed. But I don't know how that's going to go down at the allotment and whether we'll get kicked off. We could, maybe, but it all folds away. And you can't tell that it's a pub. It's only when you're there that it looks like a pub shed. So that's the plan. That's my ultimate plan this year. Brilliant. Not that I know how I'm going to put it up or anything like that, because my mum won't help me. So it'll just have to magically appear somehow.
Oh, brilliant. She's lovely. She is absolutely lovely. One last thing on my little list. Seed Explorers.
Oh,
now,
yes.
I've read a little bit about that. That sounds amazing. Tell us all about that.
That was just before lockdown, when I was working with the children at the school, and I'd seen how their connection with food had changed, also how my kids' connection with food had changed, and I thought, oh my goodness. So I was hoeing at work, and in my usual way, I start talking rubbish in the middle of the vegetable garden, the whole garden team. So I said, I can see all these vegetable characters in the vegetable beds. They're like cartoon characters, and like everybody looks at me like, oh, here she goes again. What's she doing now? And I was like, I'm going to do a children's seed business. And they're like, yeah, of course you are. It's never going to work. And then they'll tell me all the things that I can't do, and then it just makes me even worse because I'm like, okay, watch me. I'm going to do it. So I started the Seed Explorers, and it's a little box. You get 9 seeds. My mum, she's the artist, so she created all the characters, and all the characters are based around my friends and family. My mum is actually one of the characters. She's, the Gello Diacini, the pumpkin that's warty. You can score it's like a really ugly pumpkin. And I said, Mum, you're a pumpkin. So she designed herself. I've never seen a pumpkin in a corset, but she did it. And it was like the sexiest character in the box. And I was like, sorry, Mum, we are a children's seed line. We are not having corseted pumpkins. You are a big, fat, warty, round pumpkin. Redesign yourself to reality. So yes, Paula Pumpkin is now a normal pumpkin. And then I sort of launched, and it was probably the weirdest day because I thought I'd be really excited, but actually I cried all day because I think, like you were saying about the pressure when you're creating, like for your garden, for the gardener's world, for me it was just this build up, and I just cried all day, and it went really well. And then Le Manoir, Kate asked me if I'd be interested in creating something for the guests, which I was just like, oh my goodness, of course. So now we have a Raymond Blanc character. So if every guest that stays has a little Raymond Blanc pin, so each box comes with a little pin, and then you'll see all the characters throughout the garden, which my lovely friend, Hayley's Lottie Heaven, Hayley's Lottie Haven. So Hayley, she did them with all of her laser. So we've got these beautiful slate laser characters all around the garden. So that's really magic. And then I created an adventure trail. So each child that stays goes on an adventure trail all through the gardens to find all these lovely vegetables. And then you've got stickers and things like that.
That's wicked.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It really does. Really
I mean, some of these things you just forget that you've done, don't you? I feel like there's so many things, and it's like a daily thing. But I sometimes, I do look back and think, gosh, I can't even believe I did that.
I just thought of one more thing. Ideal World. Wow.
Oh yes, the Ideal Home is that right?
Yeah.
Week before.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was really different. I'm used to doing a lot of festivals. So the festivals that I do are more hands-on workshops, and it's all about really sort of inspiring people into gardening. But the Ideal Home show was more of a demo. So I was kind of on the stage and talking about, I took the Heritage Seed Library seeds with me because obviously I love them and they've all got beautiful history. So we sowed the seeds. I've got a few people up on stage and we did a little seed sow along, and then the guests got to take those home with them. And I've got a few exciting things coming up this year as well. So a few festivals. I'm going to Ireland, which is going to be exciting.
Oh, wow.
To go and sow seeds. It's incredible how this seed sowing business gets you all over the place.
Sound like your life is just rammed, so busy.
Yeah, but then I like it like that because I think with me, if I'm not busy, then I have too much time to think, and I think that thinking's not a good thing. Sometimes it's good. I prefer to be busy, and like everybody says, gardening is so good for your mental health. And I think that, I did used to have a lot of anxiety and things like that, whereas now there's always something to do. So if I ever feel down, I'm either gardening, talking about gardening, reading about gardening, dreaming about gardening, or, just being out in the garden. So I think it is such a nourishing thing to do, and so creative as well.
Amazing. It is amazing. I think we've got a question on our little question box.
Ooh.
This is from Joe, Norfolk Blue Door Flowers. What's the thing you are most excited to see this year?
Oh, in the garden. Oh, well, I tell you something, and I'll show you these, which are the bane of my life. These are called butterfly peas. I think they're called something a bit dodgy as well. Their Latin name is clitori something.
Oh God, get me some of them.
That's
So
got
I just call them
Harry's name,
butterfly
right?
peas because the other word sounds a little not so magical.
Yeah.
But I've tried for 2 years to get these growing. And basically, I'm not doing very well. I can see a little bit of movement, so I'm trying to germinate them in a little. Obviously, I only ever eat organic food, but I seem to have a lot of these boxes.
Takeaway tubs.
Don't tell anyone.
No.
But these are blue flowers. So they're electric blue. And they're one of those ones, you know, so once you grow them, you can make a tea out of them. If you squeeze the lime juice and it changes the pH level and the colour of the water changes. So that is something, but sadly, the way that they look right now, maybe
Not doing anything.
Not so exciting. But there's always some, I think, well, I'm working with She Grows Veg for the Chelsea Flower Show this year, and Raymond. So Lucy Hutchins and Kate, I don't know if you know of their new fantastic seed line. Super excited.
Definitely.
So I was talking to Lucy over at the Garden Media Guild Awards, and she was like, I'd really like a chef to come and cook on our stand for Chelsea. And I was like, I think I might be able to help you there. So we've got Raymond coming to the stand on press day to cook. So if you're all there, press day, come and see us. And then we're seed sowing at Chelsea with Gardens Illustrated from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we're using some of their seeds. But the seeds that they've got are just amazing. So we're growing the Rose of Venice, which is a chicory, and it looks like a pink rose.
Oh my God.
Absolutely beautiful. We're growing the quadricolour corn. So Raymond really wanted to grow popping corn this year. And I found through Lucy and Kate this fantastic quadricolour corn. So we're going to be sowing it soon. So you can still get it. But the actual corn is stripy, green and red and white stripy. So it's very ornamental for the garden. And then the actual cobs are red. And then they're popping corn. So it's going to be really striking in the Heritage Garden. And we're growing it in the Three Sisters method. So the Cherokee Trail of Tears, which are from the Heritage Seed Library. And then we're growing a squash at the bottom, maybe one of the tromboncinos from She Grows Veg. So yeah, I'm quite excited about that.
Sounds amazing. God, fantastic. Any more questions? No more questions.
Oh, I love a question.
I love a question. Come on, someone get some more questions in. Come on.
Not too difficult though.
No, get some
I love that because I don't know if you have like everybody, because we're gardeners and people think that you know everything about everything in horticulture. And I think I remember getting asked to plant a row of horse chestnut trees, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm more of a carrot and pea kind of girl, not really a tree driveway.
I've got a question. Gin or Prosecco?
Oh, gin, I think. I mean, I do like Prosecco, but gin is, 7 o'clock is gin o'clock. We do a lovely gin at work as well. We do a gin that's infused with lemon verbena from the garden, lavender from the garden, and Vietnamese coriander, which is really lovely.
Do they make that at work?
So it goes off to the Cambridge distillery. We harvest all the herbs at Le Manoir, and then it goes off to the Cambridge distillery, and the team there then distill it, and then it comes back to us.
Wow.
So it's really lovely. You need to come and visit me.
I will.
We've just actually launched our Botanicals to Cocktails course. So that is, you spend the morning with me sowing your seeds, and then in the afternoon you go with Sergio, who's a mixologist in the main restaurants, and he then teaches you how to create garden cocktails in the afternoon. So it's a full seed to cocktail experience, which is really lovely.
My wife's got a very, I don't want to say big, but an important birthday coming up very soon, so I'll have to have a look and see if I can get over, get some lunch or something.
She's not
Oh, yeah,
30
let's see.
again, is she?
Yes, she's 30 again. Oh, listen to you.
Not
I'll get into reading some good books.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be there gate crashing. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, God, keep me away.
With a happy 30th card.
Yeah. So we've got another question. Catherine grows stuff. Catherine said, "What is your favourite variety of veg to grow, which is ornamental, prettier than the usual varieties, and delicious?"
Ooh, that's a really tough one. I mean, I suppose for me, you cannot beat an archway stripping with different varieties of squash.
Yeah.
Like a delicata, I love a delicata because it's a little bit more delicate. Even gourds, because they're also wacky and ugly, although they're not necessarily edible, so I wouldn't eat them. The tromboncinos and the serpent de Siciliana, the big, long snake gourds, they are fantastic. Again, they don't taste so great, but the tromboncinos taste good.
Oh, they're lovely, yeah.
What else are we growing this year? What am I growing in my garden that I'm excited about? I think that's they are, to me, just mind-blowing how beautiful they are. Obviously dahlias, everybody knows I love growing all the different dahlias for edible purposes as well, because the roots, the tubers were originally brought over by the Aztecs to eat as a potato, and then the petals plucked and sprinkled on a salad. Absolutely beautiful. I'm doing a lot of sunflowers this year, surprisingly, and I saw this, it all went viral, didn't it, where people were eating the sunflower heads. So rather than eating, you know, just the seeds on their own, before they go brown, when they're still very young and fresh, put butter on it and then roast it in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And it tastes a little bit like a corn on the cob. So I'm trying out, I can't really, if anybody knows a variety that's good for this, then please let me know. But when you're looking online, it's really difficult to find a good variety to find for roasting the heads. So I'm testing out about 7 or 8 different varieties of sunflower this year.
Surely Lucy would know that, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she probably would. That's a
I
very
reckon
good
she
point.
would.
I get so carried away talking about everything else that I can't get all my information into one day.
Lucy's awesome at stuff like that when you got the stupid questions like that.
She's fantastic. We were with her last week at Le Manoir filming with Raymond for the pre up to the Chelsea flower show week. So that was really good fun. We were all running around the gardens filming. It was just like, it's just crazy, isn't it? Because Lucy was one of the first people, other than obviously Charles Dowding, that I saw on Instagram. I was like, oh my goodness, her page is amazing. And then when you get to work together, it's just like, wow. It's those moments you think, goodness, like 6 years ago, I didn't even know I thought potatoes grew on trees.
Wow. Got another question. This is from Joe again. If you had to save one veg in an apocalypse, what would you save?
Oh, no. Oh, goodness gracious me. That is a tough one. I mean, I do love peas, because the beauty of the pea is you can have it for the pea shoots, the flowers. You can then get your mangetus or a pea. So I do love them for that. And I do use those a lot on my workshops. So I think they're such an easy, wonderful thing to grow. I don't can even answer that, because there's just, I couldn't live without a whole array. You know, I'm not vegetarian, but I think that I would rather give up meat than vegetables. If I don't have loads of variety, then I feel like I've been hard done by.
I think a squash would be good for that, wouldn't it? Because you can save them.
Yeah. Oh, I love squash. I mean, they're just, and the fact that they store for so long.
Exactly.
So I put everything on this workbench. All my squashes get lined up along here throughout Christmas. They go onto the Christmas tree. And then my mum, every year she comes to my house and she says, can I have one of those things for putting on my doorstep? I'm like, get your grubby mitts off of my pumpkins. You are not putting it on your doorstep to rot. If you want one on your doorstep, go and buy it from a supermarket, because I've taken 9 loving months of nurturing these beautiful warty pumpkins, and you're not, it's food only, because that is a big thing in the UK. People don't eat them, do they?
No. And we should do. We should do.
We need to change the narrative on squashes and pumpkins.
Pumpkin pie.
Oh, you do a lovely soup at work.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Raymond's butternut squash, or Crown Prince. The Crown Prince is
amazing. Love the Crown Prince.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite tasting pumpkin.
It is definitely up there. Have you tried delicatas as well?
No.
They are. Oh, they're another one of Raymond's favourites. They are I think they call it a honey boat in the US, and it's more sort of that kind of shape.
Right.
And you cut it in half, and it looks like a little boat. Hence why they call it a honey boat. And you
Okay.
can roast it in the oven, 35 minutes, delicious, and it tastes like honey.
I've still got some stored. Still got some of them stored from last year.
Oh,
Have you?
oh.
I've still got 2 tromboncinos still in the pantry, still hung up.
Amazing.
I've got loads of them.
It's just wonderful, isn't it? I think that's the beauty of it, is that you can store them, and
It's like I went to soak some tromboncinos the other day, and I was like, I haven't saved any seeds because I knew I still had these 2 absolute beasts that I wanted to use the seeds from them. I'm like, I'm going to have to cut one just for the seeds.
We did that last week. I've got these lovely gourds, and I was like, I haven't got any gourd seeds, and I was like, oh yes, I have. So I had Winnie out in the garden smashing them. It's incredible how many seeds you get in there as well. There's like millions.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
all
isn't
over
it?
the garden, everywhere. They haven't germinated yet, but I'm hopeful. I'm praying.
They're
for
going to
germination.
be everywhere. You know that this year. They're just going to be. You're going to have gourds all over the.
I love it.
It'd be like Cinderella around the caravan, wouldn't it?
But they just go crazy, don't they? They just
love
grow and
ball
grow and
down.
grow.
I do love ball down.
Imagine those pumpkins all carried on around the caravan.
Oh,
And
that's what. That was the idea. So when I designed the caravan area, so on the back side, which you can't normally see very often, but on the secret garden side, there's all pumpkins, all painted on the side of the caravan, and the idea is that, which I did in the first couple of years, but since then obviously I've been working quite a lot, but the pumpkins were growing out of the caravan, so that it was like the Cinderella pumpkin carriage with all the pumpkins growing all around the garden, and it was beautiful. I mean, my first year I had about 40 pumpkins from that garden the first year, but that was lockdown, and I had a lot of time to water, a lot of time to feed it with, comfrey feed and things like that. And I had a bumper crop. And then the last 2 years has just been like 1 or 2. Work.
Oh, fantastic. Well, August, thank you so much. We're now at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
never.
what happened? Is this a normal amount of time? I feel like this is a long time, isn't it?
It's a long time.
We've had a good one. Starts getting tired towards the end. That's what it is.
Oh, it's been so lovely. Thank you so much.
You can't see me. No, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
And I hope to see you. Are you all going to be at Chelsea?
I'm coming to Chelsea, yeah.
I'm not, I don't think.
Oh, well, I'll try and come up to the show and come and see you and cheer you on.
Amazing.
Definitely.
But thanks so much, everybody. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks, August.
So
Thank you. It's been amazing.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
How have I not found August on Instagram before now?
You are joking.
You've never.
I only followed her. I followed her
What?
today. I have not found August on Instagram until today. I've never seen any of her stuff, and
God.
she is my kind of person.
You're my.
Jesus.
How have I never found her account?
What?
Honestly, that's the first
Sacrilege, man.
time. Today is the first time I've even heard of her account.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
I've met her before as well. She's amazing. Like I met her at Gardeners World Live last year, and she was with her auntie, and her auntie's as mad as her mum.
Yeah.
She was hilarious.
She was
On the ground with her.
Ben. She was at the press event. We met her at the press event. You obviously didn't meet her.
I think it was later than Ben. I think Ben had left by that point.
Oh,
No.
Because we saw it
She was back and she was in the pub with us as well afterwards.
I didn't stay
No,
to the pub, did I? I had to get back.
no, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely blown away, man,
Oh,
because I can't believe I haven't found her account before.
Jamie's kicked himself out.
Yeah. I told you he gets tired towards the end. He's done.
I don't.
Probably.
I'm in Jabba.
Yeah.
I moved way through because my phone came up saying 20% battery, and I was like, we're not even anywhere near wrapping up yet. I'm going to have to go back and plug my phone, because if my phone, you'd lose it all, wouldn't we? So I was like, I'll just walk back down the garden.
I've literally got a socket just literally under here. It's just there, and I can literally run everything out of it, and it's absolutely banging for when you just like, damn, I forgot to. I didn't even realize it's Tuesday. Literally, Nat was like, I was like, what day is it? This is like 5 o'clock. She went, Tuesday. I was like, oh my God, I haven't even done. Forgot. Phone straight on charge, messing around. Jamie's saying he's here.
Invited him again.
Yeah, that's all right then. But yeah, so it's a bit mad. Unbelievable it was today. It's just been mental.
Hello.
Oh, he's back in. I still can't see you.
I was looking at questions and I flicked it and flicked the screen to the side and that just froze you out.
Why not?
Well, Ben, at least you've now found August.
And August has found me.
Exactly. Oh, she's
I
made
mean,
up.
how lucky is she?
Exactly, yeah.
But no, it's mad. And you know, when you just look and it's like, I've never come across any of her content, nothing, never heard her name, anything. And I'm looking through her stuff earlier on, I'm like, bloody hell, like, how
it's crazy how Instagram works like that, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Loads of
ridiculous.
people don't follow when they're like huge and everybody else knows them and we've never even heard of them.
Yeah, I've come across that several times, and you think, oh, you say to someone, you know, such and such, and they go, no. What do you mean, no?
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously the chef background, the gardening side of it, the whole thing is just me. It's just like everything I love, and I haven't come across it before. That's what I love about this, to be fair.
Yeah, it's good.
I absolutely loved it. There's been so many accounts I've found through doing this with you guys.
Brilliant. Good, isn't it?
Well, there's a
It is.
Hilton that I've not really known of before.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple, but most people we knew. But there was a few that I'd not known before.
Mm. I think because I started after lockdown, I think I've missed a few of
Same
the
as
ones
me,
that
mate.
the ones that were doing really well in lockdown, and I've then come through at a later date because they've peaked and got massive followings and whatever. I've just missed it. So I'm finding them now.
There we go.
Great.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That was a good one. Enjoyed that.
It's very
At least,
good.
I enjoyed all of them, but yeah, it was good.
at least we actually managed to do it after the technical issue.
Bloody shambles that was at the beginning.
We should be used to that shite by now.
I know, yeah. We have to make a laugh of it. Me and Ben were in our own live, you know, and you started up again.
Oh,
No, I was flipping all over the place. I was like, well, someone will tell me what to do in a minute.
very upset George that he didn't get to talk to you, so we'll have to get him back again.
Yeah, he can come back again.
Yeah.
Sunday was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What?
Sunday
was
was
really good.
Sunday was a great day.
Loved Sunday.
It was amazing.
Food,
Loved it.
amazing.
That
Great.
food, man. Penny's food. Oh my God.
Just for the few people who are still listening, we went and had a day at Middleton Nurseries, and it was everything about the whole day was fantastic.
So welcoming.
Yeah, such an awesome bunch of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
I loved it. I absolutely loved the day.
Yeah,
Loved the day. Obviously, I've spent loads of days with you guys now, but like obviously spending the day with Kelly, like me and Kelly talk all day, every day, and then literally it was just like, oh my God, we're gonna get to spend the whole day together.
I know.
Just nuts.
And how wow is Kelly? Oh my God, she's isn't she?
Have you never met her before?
No, she is just bang.
She's mint.
Yeah,
spent the day with her at Gardeners World Live once, and that was the same. It was just so fun. Like, spent the whole
Nuts. Love her.
She is absolutely amazing.
I've got a video. I've got to release it as a reel. I don't know if you got Mark. I think you might have been there, and she's bossing everyone around. I'm like, and here she is again, bossing everyone around. And I just on video of her just bossing everyone about.
That's what she does best.
I know. I can't wait until the Monday of the build. I tell you, because she's just going to take over. Mark's glad he's not there. Is it the Monday you're there? You're not there the Monday, are you? No, see, you're going to miss all that.
I'll be there. I'll be watching from afar down the hill.
Watch on. Watch on.
I was just about to say something and I forgot it now.
Sorry, man.
That's all right. I can't
Put you off again.
remember. Yeah, it's all right. Right, I'm going then.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I've got a date night. What, Kelly?
Brace yourself.
Oh, bloody hell. Wow.
Question. Oh,
What?
radishes. We missed that one.
Oh, well.
Sorry. I didn't see that one. Must have come in.
I always miss a radish.
So does Kerry.
What was I going to say?
Right, not gents,
Yes.
not everybody else.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Been amazing.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.